topic of the day is background checks. Background checks are pretty common practice. Employers use background checks to verify that the candidate is who they say they are, as well as do a deeper dive into the candidate's history and look for any red flags in their criminal background, and when applicable, maybe their motor vehicle or credit history. So when you're running a background check, it is highly advisable that you use a third party. It's not something that you want to take on yourself as the employer. And you want to make sure that whoever you're choosing is in compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, FCRA, which most of them are, but just something to be aware of. When you're running a background check, you want to make sure you tell the employee in writing that the background check may be used in your decisions regarding employment, and that notice has to be a standalone document, so it can't just kind of be squeezed into the application. You have to get the employee's written permission to run the background check. So as the employer, you're allowed to require a background check, but you cannot run it without their consent. So that means if the employee or the candidate decides that they do not want to give their consent, then they can be removed as a candidate, but you absolutely still can't run it without their consent. And oftentimes when you're running that background check through a third party, before you're able to run it, you do have to say that the candidate has authorized it, or sometimes upload the authorization form itself. Keep in mind that you want to make sure that the background check you're doing is relevant to the job. So, for example, you only want to be running motor vehicle history reports on employees that are going to be doing some type of driving for the company. Likewise, you don't really need a credit report on a candidate for a job that's not going to have any money responsibilities, financial responsibilities for the company. Once you determine what the correct background check is for each position, you have to run that same check for any and all candidates for that position. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, you want to make sure you're not discriminating against anybody based on a protected class. For example, only running credit checks on people of a certain race. You want to make sure that the background check is tailored to the job and run the same for all candidates for that position. If you get the background check back and there is something in there that you do not like, before you take any adverse action, you have to give an employee a copy of the report that you used, and also give them a copy of a summary of your rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. After you take adverse action, so after you deny them the job or tell them that they are not going to be hired, you have to let the employee know that they were rejected because of the information in the report. You want to give them the contact information of the company that you used. Let them know that that third party had no influence on the hiring decision, and then also let them know that they have the right to dispute items in the report, and they also have the right to get a new report within 60 days from the company that you used. When you're deciding to use the report to take adverse action, again, you want to make sure that you are only disqualifying people for items related to the job that they're applying for. And you want to make sure that you don't, that the qualifications that you use don't have a disparate impact against a certain race or other protected class. So I know that's a lot to chew, but if you guys have questions, as always, please let us know, and we'd be happy to answer them.